Here we will explain you how to select your elements with a chain and a control button. By clicking on an element on this side, for example, you will select this line and this will point always to the direction where you clicked on your element. By now pressing the control button on your keyboard, you can select more elements, add elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, for example. I will click my left mouse button, everything is being deselected. Now if I move to this element and now press the shift key on my keyboard and would then click on this element, Tensor will automatically check if there are more elements attached to this element, and Tensor will then further check if on the start of this element there's another element attached, etc., etc. This can be up to, for example, 1,000,000 lines. It will just keep on selecting elements until Tensor will not find any more elements. So that would mean if I would press my shift button and click on this side, it will try to search more elements in this direction. About the sequence, you might think your first element is this one. This is right, and this is my last element. This would mean if I use my shift button option, I will press my shift button right now and click on this element, it would mean that the element where I am clicking on is my last element in the sequence. This would mean this is my first last element, and backwards until the first element, which is in this case this element. So if I would click by pressing my shift key on this element, it would mean this is my last element, and if I move backwards, it would mean this is my first element. So always remember, the element where you are clicking on will always be the last element. You can also select a part of a chain. Let's say I click by not pressing any key on my keyboard. This element, this is my first element. If I now press my shift key and would click on this element, you will see that only a part of the chain is being selected. And again, this is my last element, my first last element, etc., etc., and this is my first element. So if you have a chain in your drawing and you only need to select a part of this chain, click on the first element, press your shift key and hit on this element, for example, with your left mouse button. So now you selected just a part of your element. By using the control button, you can always select more elements. Let's say this element. So this means right now, this is my last element. If I press my control button and click on a selected element, it will be deselected. So this element is not selected anymore. This will also mean that this automatically returns in being the last element. So I could press my control key and click on this element, and the element will be deselected. This would also mean that you right now selected two chains. A chain is a number of elements attached to one another. So this is my first chain and this is my second chain selected. So I can use my control key to select but also deselect elements. So if I click my left mouse button and I would press my shift button and click on this element, the total chain in this case is being selected. So if I press my shift key again and click on the same element, you will see all elements which were selected are being deselected. So this means you can use the shift key to select a chain. You can use the control button to select more elements, but you can also use these keys to deselect selected elements. And this. So this will gives you a large number of opportunities to select your elements. So try to do this with an example and then move on to the next exercise.